I'll watch some TV. It'll help me to relax.
Welcome back to the Ren and Stimpy recap. Last week we talked about Terminal Stimpy, and today we're taking a look at Reverend Jack.
And with these hands, I hold the fate of millions.
Nice title card. It's something very different. I don't think we have ever seen the two presented like this on the card, and the card looks really nice. And good music as well.
Driving this meat truck is the best job we've ever had. And we get to bring lots of swell meat to the boys and girls.
Stimpy pulls out what he calls his favorite, the double-dipped pig's head on a stick. He takes a bite, revealing the brain inside.
We get to work for the great genius, Reverend Jack Cheese, famed creator of the cheese dog.
Stimpy says Reverend Jack Cheese was also the first man to put his meat on the moon. Ren tells Stimpy to put on a record. The kids start chasing the car as Stimpy presses the meat fumes button, nuking the kids with what I'm sure is an interesting smell.
Look at him gasp for air. How cute. Hey, we better check on the Reverend. Checking.
They check on the Reverend, who is sitting in the darkness inside. Stimpy tells him the children are ready for the show, as we see his hands that say pity and self-pity. The Reverend starts playing, but stops and asks for his screw-on thumb. Stimpy runs in with the thumb, and the Reverend puts it on and pushes Stimpy away.
Children, for I preach the gospel of meat.
That's our cue. Get the meat puppet.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about this more a bit later, but this Reverend character is an allegory or parody. I did read the section about the episode in the Sick Little Monkeys book before recording this, so I know all the inside stuff, and I will talk about it.
Big happy family.
Hello there, Mr. Cow. How are you today? The moo, Ren.
Reverend Jack says that this blissful coexistence wouldn't last, and that soon the cow would show its true udders, as a real cow walks by and is shocked.
Turned out to be a bloodthirsty, two-horned devil!
He screams that soon packs of cows terrorized the countryside and turned on man, as Ren gets hit with the meat cow.
Stop at nothing! Go back to Chicago, you ugly hook-nosed swede!
The Reverend calls the cow Judas and tells him to get out of there. He uses other words, but I don't want to paraphrase words I legit don't know the meaning of. He's speaking very interestingly.
Who wants meat treats? I do, I do, I do.
Stimpy gives him a squirrel. I can't pronounce this. A squirrel swirl. Which is just a squirrel in a cone. This is not going well. In a ice cream cone, which the boy licks, and then the next kid has just meat, and the last kid has push-up meat, which looks kind of disgusting.
Celebrate man's victory over meat. And don't forget, visit your local steakhouse.
We cut to night as Stimpy is counting the tips they got, including bottle caps, shekels, paper clips, and a comb. I think some money as well, but I'm not sure.
Are you scorched enough, sir?
I need more sauce. Baste me.
Ren runs in with barbecue sauce and starts painting him with it. And the Reverend says that's not how he should do it and takes the bucket and just drinks it all.
Well, what are you standing around for? It's time to start the ceremony!
Okay, so I couldn't really find a good segue into this, but the Reverend is a caricature of John Kay. Just keep that in mind.
Now shave my big bulbous toe!
Ew. Next, he says his butt is not flat and square enough, which prompts Stimpy to run down to the baseball game between the Cardinals and the Bishops.
There's a crazed fan on the field.
Whoa, he's stealing third base. Boy, the Popes could really use that kind of speed.
He returns with it and puts it in the Reverend's pants, making his butt flat and square, which he's really happy about.
My skin hat and my meat robe.
They pour ice down his pants, and then he removes the meat drapes to reveal like an altar of meat, I think.
To meat. I'm talking about knockwurst!
Now we cut to a scene which is lower quality, and the reason is that the scene was like first censored and then edited and stuff. It was kind of confusing to read, but that's why it looks like this anyway.
Launch me.
I'm sure you want to waste it like that.
Alright, so that's a direct reference to a real event involving John Kay at a party. So at a party at John Kay's home, a really drunk Bob, how do you pronounce it? Bob Jack started stacking meat and stuff, just like this, on John Kay's head. And when John Kay realized, he said, "What are ya? I'm sure you waste good meats."
What are ya?
Take these croutons for there.
They sing some more, including more "What are ya?", which is John Kay's own saying that we could also see in the beginning of the show earlier.
Daddy, I love you.
The Reverend looks across the room and sees the chaos. He tells them to wake up, and the scene turns back to normal quality.
My father said they're out to get me. He said it's time for me to learn to drive.
That's so disgusting. The Reverend drives like crazy, almost running over these kids, as Ren is terrified, and Stimpy, not quite as terrified, but he still questions him.
You drove right past those kids.
Keep driving and don't stop.
A panicking Ren takes the wheel and screams that they'll all be killed. We cut to much later as the car is very torn down and Ren says he has been driving forever.
We haven't put on a single show in months. Go back there and see what he's doing.
That's a meta joke again. Them not putting on a show in months, parodying how that was the case with the actual show as well.
Excuse me, Reverend.
The Reverend starts screaming and asks Stimpy if he brought the toasts, and Stimpy tries to ask him what is going on, but is interrupted.
Put on a record.
I gave my love.
He cries as Stimpy asks him if they, after all these months, can finally put on a show with the children again, which causes the Reverend to freak out.
This is about the meat. Mortadella. Prosciutto.
He starts naming off different kind of meats. This guy would get along well with Kowalski. He is interrupted by police sirens as Ren screams it's the Highway Meat Patrol.
What seems to be the trouble, Ossifer?
Trouble? Well, for starters, you got midgets stuck to your grill!
That's 3 returning characters in less than like what, 10 seconds? That's amazing. We haven't seen the clowns, yes, I'm calling them clowns, in a while, and it's been a minute for Jasper as well.
Oh, the humanity!
He's not doing too well. Jasper tells the Reverend that he will never serve meat in this town again. He says the Reverend is washed up and that the show is over.
I'll be back! You beg me!
Yeah, this is very easy to see the parallels with this scene after knowing that the whole episode is parodying that. Next we cut to 4 years later.
Come back to Chicago, you ugly hook-nosed Swedes!
We see them being hit by rocks some more, in a reference to John Kay's harassment of the games crew after being fired, and that's how the episode ends. This was an interesting one. I did the retrospective in a weird order because of the meaning behind the episode, where I first watched it, then read the chapter in the book about the episode, and then rewatched the episode, and now I'm recording. I gotta say that even on my first watch, with me not understanding much, it was still entertaining. Now, there are definitely some not so enjoyable stuff in here. The episode is kinda gross and has some questionable imagery that I didn't appreciate. But the story is very interesting, and the satire of the show's creator is done really well. Ren and Stimpy didn't take that much of a backseat here, although I gotta complain that this is yet another episode where they don't do much. You could say that just adds to the satire though. Fun facts. This episode was directed by Craig Bartlett, who then went on to create Hey Arnold, which is yet another Nicktoon I have never seen. I don't know, that one never seemed too interesting to me compared to other ones I haven't seen, like Rocco especially. All in all, a good episode. Join me next week where we are taking a look at the last special of the show, A Scooter for Yaxmas.
Goodbye, folks.